Hi everyone, my name is Rodney Smith. I'm here with BoardGameGeek at Gen Con 2019. I've been joined by Jerry Hawthorne from Flat Hat Games. Jerry, you've brought a big box with you. This is called Aftermath.
Aftermath.
An adventure book game.
Yep.
So we have another adventure book style game because you've done a few games with this adventure book system, right?
Yeah. This is my third adventure book game.
Right. And so, but there's going to be some differences here, I'm assuming, some changes?
Yes, every adventure book game is, it shares a little bit of DNA with the previous iterations,
right.
But then we always do something interesting and different with it. And primarily, theme-wise, we always do something radically different with each of them so that you get a completely different experience. But
can we start there maybe? Like what is the theme of this game? Why is it called Aftermath?
Well, it's called Aftermath because it takes place in this post-human world. Basically what it is humans have just mysteriously disappeared all around planet Earth.
Okay.
1 minute they're there, and the next minute they're gone in a puff of smoke. And the meek haven't inherited the Earth, and so
quite literally.
Yes, and so the humans disappeared, and then the animals are left behind, and so they're sort of living in the ruins of humanity.
Okay.
And they're trying to struggle to survive in a post-human world. And you start out with the story, like all my adventure book games. You start out with a story, and it's all about these group of little pets in a pet shop, and the proprietor of the pet shop disappears, and they're sort of stuck there in their cages without anybody to feed and care for them. And so they plan this clever escape. Yeah. And when they're escaping, they realize, they look around, they see all the other little animals and so they let all the animals out of the pet shop. And the main characters, they go into a neighborhood, they find an abandoned house, and they start a little colony there, and then the game begins, and you play the part of a little teenage rodent who's like the first generation of little animals that were born by the
is that what we have here? Is that what's represented by these figures?
Well, these are the characters over here.
These are the characters
here.
Yes,
okay. And so your character, what you do at the beginning of the game is you open up your little character box, and you take out your card, your character card, and stuff, and all the things that you've acquired for that character, and then you just start playing. There we go.
And there's miniatures here to represent your characters as well?
Your characters are represented by a little miniature, and the game comes with a whole bunch of miniatures for your characters and for all the bad guys and stuff. And as you can see, some of the miniatures are quite large because there's predators, dangerous predators always hunting you in this world, and some of them are quite big.
Now, for people who maybe haven't played your storybook games, what's the sort of conception behind this?
Okay, so
we don't have a board here.
Yeah, you don't have a board. You play everything inside this book. So what happens is when you start on a mission, you'll leave your colony, which is here on Abigail Lane, and you'll go out into the world, and then the world will tell you what page to go to. So, for instance, on our first mission, we're going to try to go to this vending machine over here that's partially buried in a pile of rubble.
Okay. Yes.
And your goal on your first mission is to get inside that vending machine, steal a bag of onion snoodles, and bring it back to your colony. If you do that, then you prove to your colony that you have the heroic mojo to become a provider for your colony.
Right.
And so we don't call them heroes in the game; we call them providers.
Interesting.
Because that's a more powerful term than hero. If you think about it, providing for people is what we do. I mean, as a father.
Interesting, certainly, because hero has trappings of ego a little bit,
exactly,
right? Like, I am a hero.
And not everybody can feel like a hero, but being a provider is far more profound in my opinion.
Noble, and it's interesting.
So, providing for other people and stuff. So, so instead of being heroes, you are providers, which is what you do. You go out into the world.
You're bringing back food and sustenance.
You bring back food and supplies for your colony.
Right. Okay.
So that's what you're always trying to do. So then this will tell us to go to page 5. So then we'll just simply turn to page 5, which on your first mission is just the next page.
Right.
And then you'll put your figures on the
board. This becomes the board. Yeah. Right.
This becomes your board, and then all of the little story bits and any special rules are over here. And then there's little items on the page that correlate with little things that you can look at and do over here.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about this is every time you go to a new page, you'll see these little magnifying glasses.
Points of interest.
These little magnifying glasses are little bits of supplies, food, scraps of technology and stuff that you can get. You can find batteries to put in your battery-operated things and stuff. And you're really trying to find old technology left behind by humans that you could use that you could reuse and repurpose into little weapons and little things for little critters and stuff. So you can move around, you could look at things, you can sometimes, every time you go to a new location, you'll have to pull an event card and it'll tell you whether you encounter some sort of enemies or something like that. And then that'll give you some additional little setup information and stuff, but it all kind of just guides you through the story. And then when you leave a page, the book will tell you which page to go to after that. Or you might leave a page and go to a different area of the world, and if you do that, then that'll tell you which page to turn to.
So you're either traveling within the context of the story, or you're just going to a completely different location in the city, which will drive you again back to the book somewhere else. Okay.
And what's unique about this compared to the other adventure book games is this is sort of a sandboxy experience. So the story is discovered through gameplay. And there's like 3 main story arcs that you may or may not encounter, and then there's a whole bunch of little individual little side quest stories and stuff like that. And when you're out,
is that because you have the freedom to hop around as you see fit, type of thing? You mean to some extent?
Like you have to go by the mission that you're on.
Sure.
But the things you experience, the game will tell you any new things are going to be in this the discovery box, right? So it'll say, go to your discovery box, pull out this certain card, and add it to whatever other box.
I see.
And you have a colony box as well, and this is where you sort of save all of your colony progress and stuff. So any upgrades you do to your colony, let's say you build an expanded nesting for your colony population, so you can grow your colony, then that would go in your colony box. If you created like an alliance with some characters, there's alliances.
I don't want to spoil, but this artwork is sort of...
Yeah, and then you put that alliance that you've gotten into, you put all that in your deck box, and then the game will remember what your progress by knowing. Your game will ask you if you have that card in your box, and if you do, then...
Which will influence what happens next. Okay, interesting. Right.
So it's a living, growing, sort of sandboxy experience, and it's not like a traditional campaign in any sense.
But it is a campaign, I see, right? We have a campaign dashboard here, right?
You're always keeping track of your colony and of your progress using this little campaign dashboard. And then when you're done with the game, you just throw that back in the box. And the next time you play, you pull it back out, and everything's been saved. So it's a persistent world sort of thing.
Okay, I gotcha.
And when you're out on a mission, you'll have like a mission card that you're going by. You're out on a mission. Well, while you're on that mission, you're probably going to encounter things that's going to spawn like a couple more missions, and those go in your deck box too. And so you have all these variety of missions, and you can do them in any order you want. And the game comes with a ton of discoverable missions.
All this stuff.
Like a ton of them. So, yeah. And those are all, each of those is an adventure. So. So that's basically what you do.
Now, in terms of the gameplay, like the minutia of like rolling dice and combat, what sort of things do we have to look at there?
Okay, so in my previous adventure book games, it was very dice driven. So you pull dice out of a bag, if you recall.
Yes.
This game is not dice driven at all. You have this old deck of playing cards that's been recovered from rubble, left behind by humankind, and that is how you control your character and stuff. But it's very similar to the dice system, but this has a lot less luck involved.
Okay.
So at the beginning of your turn, you'll draw up until you have 5 cards in your hand. And then the cards, of course, these haven't been shuffled, but the cards will kind of dictate what you can do on your turn. And when you go to, everything in the game is pretty much controlled by different kinds of skill checks that you do.
Right.
And so when you go to do a skill check, let's say it'll give you a color that you need to use. So in order to initiate that skill check, you have to use a card of that color. So let's say it's a red skill check.
Sure.
Then I could play a red card to initiate that skill check.
Right.
Now after that, I could play additional cards to try to beat that skill check. And I can play cards that either match the color or the number of the previous of the first card. I could, in other words, I could play green.
Because it's a 1, right?
Or because it's a 1, and then I could play that into it. Or I could play another card that's red because it's red. It matches the color of the first card. So I could do it like that, and that's how you build up to these large numbers to achieve these seemingly impossible tasks, but you can do it.
So it's not it's not entirely left of the luck of a die roll. You're building something in your hand. You sort of know what your options are more or less.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we have a little randomizer at the end of the skill check, but it just only randomizes it by a few numbers.
Right.
And so you can actually build up to a point where you don't even have to worry about the luck involved, right?
Or if you want to skate that edge and go, well, I think I'll be okay, and maybe save this card, but you're pushing your luck a little bit.
Or maybe you don't have enough cards, but you're going to try it anyway, and you might
get
succeed.
A boost.
Yeah. And then you can share cards with your fellow players, and that's a big part of the thing is using the cooperation between your fellow players. Because I'm all into the co-op games, so being able to help each other out and getting into that groove of knowing who needs what at what time and stuff, and coordinating that is a big part of the game and stuff. And One of the interesting features about it is you're going to be encountering you're going to be encountering a lot of factions of people who are competing with you for resources and stuff, and that might lead to conflicts in the game, or you might encounter predators that want to eat you, and that's their food, their food supply. So and that
kitty's got to eat.
Yeah. So the game really encourages you to not always. You can sometimes use diplomacy to convince these people not to fight you. That maybe they'll join your colony, and then your colony population will grow, and then you're going to need more food.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So there's diplomacy in the game, lots of diplomacy, but also there's this cool understanding that you're a small, fragile creature, and sometimes the best thing is just to run away.
So survive. It's not always about just going in there and trying to attack.
No matter where you're at, if you feel overwhelmed by the enemies, you can always flee that map, right? You can run out the exit of the map, right? And when you do, what's kind of cool, let's say you were in this location and this cat came out, and you were like, oh no, we can't. We're not powerful enough to take on a cat. We're going to flee. So you move your guys off the thing, right? Well, that cat goes in the hunt box. Okay. So during the game, if you draw the calamity card.
Oh, Jerry, this is cool.
If you call
this sounds cool.
You pull the calamity card.
Right.
Calamity card will direct you to go down here and look at what the calamity thing is. And many times it'll say you encounter the hunt. That means everything that you've left behind in the hunt, it catches up with you. And it comes back to get you. It did not forget.
And so it sits here just lurking as you play.
Oh, yes.
But we escaped, we got away from it, but it's waiting. Oh,
yeah,
that is
like
cool.
Let's say it's a cat, right?
Yeah.
And let's say you're adventuring around and you find a little a hole in the wall of a house or something. You go inside that wall, right?
Yeah.
Well, because you pass through a small hole, the game will tell you take anything large out of your hunt box. It can't chase
you there.
It can't follow you anymore. So you
clever,
found
Jerry.
like a little way to get away from that cat. So it's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. I want to mention to you quickly about these miniatures because they almost look like there's a little bit of paint on them. It looks like there's a wash or something.
So,
is that right?
All the miniatures come with this new awesome factory wash that really brings out the details and really makes them.
This is not something that you did. This is how the game comes.
That's how the game will come. It'll come with this nice ink wash that brings out all the details and it makes them look more alive and stuff. And it also allows you to more easily recognize which figure is which.
How many players does this game play?
It'll play up to 4 players.
Up to 4 players?
And you can play it solo too, but you'll have to control 2 characters or more at the same time.
Sure.
So we didn't put like a solo option on the box, but all my games are totally soloable.
Right.
And so, yeah.
And is it something that, like how long would it take to play? Can you play them in short little chunks?
It's usually 90 minutes to 120 minutes. And see, the missions, there's so many different missions. Some are long, some are short.
Right.
And there'll be a little time number on the mission. It'll tell you, you can kind of understand how long that mission is. It'll give you a sense of how long that mission is. So, for instance, if it says that it has a time of 3, you know that's probably going to be a fairly short mission. So if you don't have that much time, you choose a shorter mission. Yeah. Right. But if there's some that are kind of epic, so they're like 6, so that'd be like twice as long as the time of 3.
Well, is this game available now for people to pick up, or is it coming soon?
It's coming out towards the end of September, and it's available for pre-order on our website, and you get free shipping if you pre-order from us. But there's other retailers out there that are carrying it as well. So. Okay.
So this year, September, October time frame about that?
Yep, right around the end of September, beginning of October, somewhere around there.
Awesome. Jerry, thank you so much for giving us this overview. I'm really excited about this.
Thank you.
I hope everyone enjoyed watching this, and all of you, thanks for joining.